Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast Radio Show, coming to you on this Sunday, February the 9th, 2025. Hopefully it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. On today's episode, we are doing a quick one here. Why do adults struggle with healthy eating, and why is eating typically the biggest Achilles heel on our health and fitness journey? And not just for the average person who probably doesn't live in the gym and train all the time, but even the average gym goer, the person who really gives a shit, shows up, makes it a priority, and still the food part tends to be the biggest bugaboo, if you will, on the journey they're trying to get to. So that's what we're rapping about today. A couple quick housekeeping things. One, the Old Man Strength program is coming. February the 24th is the plan here. We almost have everything done with this. The bad boy is loaded inside the app. It's good to go. So jeremyscottfitness.app, you guys will find that when it's live. Probably here in a couple days. I'll put the link in the show notes for the next episode. So my goal is to be back with you guys here in about a week, maybe even on Valentine's Day, because Heather is getting on a flight. She's leaving me because she's not romantic, and neither am I. And so that's just how it's going to roll for me. So I'll probably do a pod on Valentine's Day about Old Man Strength, and I should have the link live. What I'm going to do is the first 41 people who buy this bad boy, I'm going to give a $41 discount. That's kind of my one big push for this. So if you're an early listener, I'm probably going to share this first in the app when it's live this week. So you guys will get kind of early bird pricing for that. If it's still available, I'll throw it in the link in the show notes in the next episode. And then when the 41 purchases are gone, then we'll go back up to full price for that. But it's a 10-week program. Anybody who's honestly, for anybody, but really if you're 35 and over, I think this is ideal. 40 and over, it's a home run, 100%. So that's what's coming up next on the docket. Short of that, shout out to our friends at AG1. You guys know the one thing I take every single day and I never miss. drinkag1.com/Jeremy Scott gets you guys a year's supply of free vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 free travel packs with order 1. You guys know I eat as well as I can. I eat as many fruits and veggies as possible, but I don't eat 10 to 12 servings a day. This just helps me cover the gaps in my nutrition. So it's like a multivitamin on steroids with prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes in there, magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin C, zinc for your immune health, gut support, you name it. Honestly, for the gut part of it is probably one of the biggest reasons I take it, just the prebiotics and probiotics. And I like to keep my gut as healthy as I can. Nobody likes to be constipated or have diarrhea. Neither of them is a good look. And this kind of helps me, stay regular and keep things moving. So if you guys want a free sample, 100% on me. I don't care where you live. I will mail you a sample right to your front door, maybe even a couple. You can try them for a few days, see if you like it. And if you do, we'll hook you up with all the free stuff from there. So message us, reach out to me, Monica, anywhere on the website. We just redid the Jeremy Scott Fitness website, so you guys can hit the contact page up there. Just type in Athletic Greens or AG1, and we will send you the samples there. Otherwise, links in the notes here, drinkag1.com/Jeremy Scott for all the free stuff today. And then real quick, shout out to my friends at Substance Nutrition, where we get our creatine. I just take 5 grams a day, the most researched muscle-building supplement on the planet. You can use the code JSF for always 10% off. Their protein is legit, and so is their kind of donut blend coffee, if you guys are coffee people at home. And then my friends at JLab Pro, JeremyScottFitness.JLabPro.com is where we get our protein, turmeric, collagen, and krill oils. We always have a discount on the protein and the collagen. I've known Jay for over probably 11 years now. Registered dietitian. He's a good guy, makes quality products. That's why I've worked with him for over the past decade. And all the other sponsors are going to be in the show notes. I don't want to read through them today because my legs hurt. And I feel like I smoked 20 cigarettes, even though I didn't. We did our Sunday Metcon today, and it was a 20,000 meter ride on the bike in teams. And my team only had 4 people. And my legs are trashed right now. And honestly, on top of that, I was supposed to have the Dr. Fascia, Dr. Brian Geyer, on the podcast today, but he texted me this morning. What time was this? He texted me at 6:12 a.m. today, and it came, I'm going to show it to Sean here. He texted me a video right here, and he is not feeling well today. I think he has like 10 kids. I don't know how many kids he has. He has a lot of kids. But one of his kids got him sick. So I'm like, hey, bro, maybe you should have just had like 1 or 2 kids, not 10. But I'll get him back here maybe on the 23rd or the week after that. But he's going to come on. He's a great find. He's a good guy. I've worked with him for the past decade, but he is sick today, and I wasn't going to cancel this bad boy. So here we are talking about why do adults struggle with healthy eating. I think I have a few quick nuggets here before that, or maybe I'll do these as I go. Anyways, that's what's cracking here today. In terms of the eating piece, I've been doing this for over 15 years now. My first training start, I guess, was in 2005. So I'm at 20 plus years in the fitness game, over 15 years on my own. And by far the biggest, I guess, hurdle adults have is the eating part. There's a lot of things different people struggle with, but if I had to boil it down to one major issue, it's the eating struggles, eating and drinking habits, I would say. Now, for the average person, I still think that's probably their biggest issue. And if you look at just in general the amount of chronic disease and obesity in America, I think the obesity level is it 50%? Obesity stats in America. Quick Google search. 40% of adults were obese. 41.9 actually. 20 to 39-year-olds, you're at 35%. 40 to 59-year-olds are 46%, and then people over 60, it's there. And then obviously they give you by region, obesity prevalence by region. The Midwest, shout out to them. Midwest, 36%. Boom, always winning, stay winning. South, 34%. The West Coast here, 29%, and then the Northeast, 28.6%. And then it gives you by state. Man, it's brutal here. I'm not going to keep calling these people out. My point is that the numbers are obviously much higher than they were, let's say, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. And a lot of that comes down to, obviously, our lifestyle, and I'll talk about that today, just how we spend our time, effort, and energy, the amount of stress we take on. There's environmental factors, but just how readily accessible the food is, how the food has changed dramatically. And it's a combination of, obviously, lifestyle factors, the environment, like I mentioned, but psychological as well. And the challenge is every individual has their own kind of set of circumstances, but the most common things all kind of affect the average adult and why it's so hard to adopt and maintain the healthy habits. I guess the first thing right off the top, just a lack of time or a perceived lack of time. There's actually a really good Jerry Seinfeld famously says, life is finding things you want to waste your time doing. And so he has this whole process where he makes like this really fancy coffee every day, and it takes an insane amount of time. But he's like, that's what life is. It's wasting time, essentially doing things that you like to do. And I'm going to paraphrase here, but he kind of frames it in a way saying, everyone's always in a rush to save time and save time and save time, but then you get to the end of your life and there's no save time. You just kind of get what you get. And I think we can all do that when we don't prioritize things, obviously, in the right way. And I understand what it's like, because a lot of you who are listening, you're busy adults, your work schedules, your travel schedules, your family's social commitments, your kids. It's hard to, I guess, make time versus say find time for meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking. And when you don't do those things, the result is that fast food culture, the overeating of fast food and takeout food and prepackaged food that is highly palatable, highly processed, and you get in a cycle of doing that. And it's so much easier, and it becomes tempting, and you fall into the same habits, and then you're not looking at healthy options because it's a bigger pain in the ass to grab the food and make the food and go to the grocery store. So you kind of get in this cycle. And full disclaimer, I understand it. It's much easier to go home when you've worked all day and you have kid shit and stress and whatever else going on to just get there, throw in a frozen pizza, take a shower, come back out, the pizza's done, and eat it, versus go home, get your ground meat, make your vegetables, grab your, putting all of the things together you need for a healthy meal. Now, again, does it take that much more time? No. It takes for me to make dinner, it takes all of, 10 minutes. But it's 10 minutes I have to be present and be there so I don't burn the house down, versus I just went through the drive-thru, which took 2 minutes. So maybe you saved yourself 8 minutes. The point I'm driving at is it's this lack of perceived time where we think these tasks take that much longer. And they really don't, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have a ton of time. When you bulk grocery shop, when you bulk cook your meals, and when you have stuff for multiple days and kind of plan the entire week out ahead of time, or at least have an idea of what you're going to eat when you're going to eat, it makes life a whole hell of a lot easier. And if I use my example, now obviously I'm not like Dr. Geyer. I don't have 10 kids at home. So must be tough if you got to buy sharks and Teddy Grahams and goldfish all day. That would be a pain in the ass. Or you just make your kids eat elk meat and cauliflower rice and they hate you, but then they become shredded. So then there's that. Your decision. My point is, when I go to the grocery store, like if I got to leave here, I usually go Saturdays, but if I had to go here after this podcast, I'll roll over there. I'll buy 10, 12 pounds of elk meat. I'll buy a ton of cauliflower rice, a bunch of frozen berries, and then whatever else I need for the week. But for the most part, that's pretty much what I'm eating most of the days. And if I got to pick up some ancillary stuff as the week goes, like grab some koyas or some beef jerky or some hard-boiled eggs, I'll certainly do that. But going and grabbing all the basic stuff in one day makes my life a whole hell of a lot easier. And if that's really just the stuff I keep in my house, when I get home, it's really hard to make a poor decision. See what I'm saying? Where I've kind of, I guess, time hacked, what most people think they have to do. You don't have to go to the grocery store every day. You don't have to make these elaborate meals. If you just get your protein and your produce and you have that as your base, it does become a little bit easier. Now, I say that, but it's easy in theory. It's much harder in application. The second thing where we see most people struggle is just the stress eating and the emotional eating. And this goes with both eating and drinking together. Some people are food people. Some people are booze people. I've shared this on this podcast for many years. I never understood why my dad was so mad every day when he came home. And later I realized he drove a truck for a living and he fucking hated it. And then he would come home and he's got kids like me and my friends in there, like, fucking his house up and eating his food, costing the money. And so there he hates his life. And so he would be more of the like stress drinker. He would come home, immediately walk in, don't pass go, don't collect your $200. Just literally grab some Bacardi and some Diet Coke, mix it together, and just straight boozing. Now that's like stress drinking. That's not a healthy thing to do. I understand it now, I'm a middle-aged man like he was. Just you're not happy with the things going on in your life, so that's your default. Some people do that with alcohol, some people do it with drugs, but a lot of people do it with food. Food becomes a comfort, it becomes easier. You turn to whatever it is, cookies or cupcakes or French fries or potato chips or whatever your comfort food is to cope with stress, anxiety, and whatever other emotional challenges you have going on in the day. And trust me, I get it. It'd be much easier on the days where I'm on the struggle bus and I'm not having a great day just to go, have wings and a couple beers. That's much easier than, choking down, elk meat and broccoli again. But it's you winning those little battles more often than not that elicits a major change. But when you're really in your own shit and you're stress eating and you're emotional eating, it's like an avalanche that rolls the wrong way. Obviously, you get triggered by being overwhelmed or being tired or being unhappy, and then it puts you in this downward spiral. And as you eat those unhealthy foods, the ones that are higher in fat, higher in sugar, as a way to cope with your emotional stress and the shit going on in your life, it just digs the hole deeper and puts you in these patterns of more unhealthy eating, which leads to more unhealthy habits. And it's very easy to fall into those. Even for me, like if I go, like usually once a week, I'll eat something that's not, ideal for me, whether it's burgers, fries, or pizza or something, and have some cookies, just like a normal, 12-year-old would eat, but how a lot of average adults eat every day. It's much easier for me to the next day kind of roll into that another shitty day and another shitty day versus if I string together 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row of just eating protein, produce, and water and not having, chips or cookies or French fries, I feel like I don't crave it as much. It's like once you get, it's like any kind of drug. It's like once you do one line of cocaine, well, fuck it, let's do another line of cocaine. And then you just kind of keep the party rolling, which is not good for anybody. I go, but you see what I'm saying? It's like the stress and the emotion of it triggers you to make a poor choice. And then that poor choice kind of opens the door for another poor choice and another poor choice. Back in the day, I used to do and I'll talk about this here in the episode briefly, kind of the all or nothing mentality, where BJ Gadur and I have talked about this a lot, where eating pancakes for breakfast is the worst fucking decision you can make. It's just the worst choice you can make in the day. And I say that, and there's nothing against pancakes. They're amazing. But if you wake up on Monday morning and hey, I'm going to have, a little short stack of, and I actually have this shirt on here today. This is a Uncle Buck shirt, House of Pancakes. Pretty sick. If you guys never saw Uncle Buck, all-time movie. If you haven't seen Uncle Buck, I feel terrible for you. Also, Macaulay Culkin in his prime. But he makes the biggest pancake ever. Anyways, pancakes are by far the worst breakfast choice you can make. Because you're there and you eat them Monday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, you crush 6 pancakes, cake them in butter and syrup, obviously, and then you're going to go to work. What are the odds that, A, you feel good and not like a lethargic, lazy piece of shit because you just crushed, 6, 7 pancakes, but what are the odds you make a great lunch choice that day? Like, what are the odds that you have a really good workout at 5 o'clock in the evening, or that you make a really great dinner choice? And some people might do that, but it's really hard because people have this kind of all or nothing mentality, which I used to have. It's like, well, fuck it. I've already ate 6 pancakes. This day is completely trash, which it's not, because if you had obviously a flat tire in your car, you wouldn't slash the other 3 fucking tires. And if you're going to eat 4 meals in a day, if one was bad, you don't got to make the other 3 shitty, but that's what we do with food. It's this all or nothing mentality. It makes no sense when you take it and apply it to something else in your life. If your iPhone dropped on the ground and the screen was cracked, you wouldn't stomp on it 60 times till it was dead. But yet that's what we do with eating. Well, I had a couple of drinks at lunch, so fuck it. I'm just going to eat, chicken fingers tonight and macaroni and cheese like a 12-year-old. Like, that's not what you should do. You should make a better choice. But we don't do that. And I understand how easy it is to fall into that pattern. Even for me, when you have stress eating and emotional eating and you make a poor choice, it leads to other poor choices, which brings me to the next point, the cravings and the addictiveness of food. And people will say it all the time, sugar is addicting as crack cocaine. It's like, no. Have you seen crackheads? All of you have on the streets. Like, Sour Patch Kids doesn't make you do that. This is not the same thing. Nobody's out here, making poor life choices because of Skittles. You know what I mean? Like, they're not the same thing. What you're trying to say is foods that are like highly processed and highly palatable, that are high in fat and sugar and salt and have the right temperature and texture and density, those ones are highly addictive. It's the combination of everything that makes it kind of perfect. So whether you're a cupcake person, or you're a chip person, or you're a cookie person, it's the combination of salt and fat and sugar and everything combined that do make it highly addictive. And it kind of has that, drug-like hit to the pleasure center of your brain that activates, you leading to having these cravings where it almost feels like it's too difficult for you to resist. And that's where a lot of adults struggle to avoid the addictive foods, and they end up overindulging, and it makes it hard to stick to a normal, healthy, balanced diet, because once you open the floodgates, you keep craving it over and over and over. And it's that dopamine hit where you're going back for it over and over and over again. And this is why I always harp on this anytime we talk about food on here. It's the real food. It's you self-regulate so much better with real food. You just do. Yes, apples have sugar, and bananas have sugar, and blueberries have sugar, but you never eat 6 or 7 of them in a row. Maybe blackberries, sure, but you're not going to eat 6-ounce packs of blackberries back to back to back to back. Not only would it cost you $1 million, because now fruit apparently is like the most expensive thing in the world, I go, but you're not going to do that. We self-regulate. You're not going to eat 10 apples, but I can easily eat 80 potato chips. I can easily eat Oreos. To eat a sleeve of Oreos is not that hard to do. Like, have I ever ate a bag at once? No, I'm not that much of an asshole, but like a Girl Scout cookies, like Thin Mints, when those little terrorists come around your house, like, I just give them the money now and send them on their way. But I could easily eat a sleeve of Thin Mints. Or what's the other ones? The peanut butter, Do-si-dos? Those are the peanut butter ones. Those ones I could do. The Samoas. Again, I haven't had Girl Scout cookies in a million years. And again, they're not that great. I never thought they were that amazing. But if they're around, I'll eat them. And again, they just have the right texture, they have the right flavor, they have enough fat, enough sugar, and a perfect kind of salt combination to where it leads you to make another poor choice over and over and over again. And it is that kind of like addicting dopamine hit where I never find that with real food. I just don't. I think this is my take with everybody. If you're an adult and you really want to be healthy, what's the easiest thing to do? Just focus on a real food for one, but two, if it was just protein, fruits, and vegetables, and then you ate your grains where you absolutely needed them, I think you would be shredded. Like you would be ripped and be in great shape the rest of your life. I don't really care how you break that stuff up. Obviously, you can get extreme if you eat more protein versus more bananas. Obviously, you're going to look a little bit different. But I think if most days you have a balanced meal of like there's a protein source, there's some vegetables, and there's some fruits, and that's what you ate 3 to 4 times a day, every day, or however many times you eat. If you eat twice a day or 3 times a day, it doesn't matter. If you ate that every meal for like a whole 30 type diet over the next 30 days, your life would change dramatically just by doing that. And I throw that out there, and I know it's overly simplified for a lot of people, and we can get into macros and micronutrients and all that shit, and I've done podcasts on all that. But the biggest reason healthy adults or any adults struggle to make a change is because there's these inconsistent and these unrealistic diet plans and these expectations of what you should be doing. If you just focused on protein, produce, and water and wash, rinse, repeat that, and do that for most of your meals, you're going to win. Even if you ate like a complete asshole, like on a Saturday, and you went to the Phoenix Open, like people are here now. And again, dude, you're going to the Phoenix Open, you're 46 years old, you're drinking 10 beers, like talking to the ASU chicks. Like, what are you doing? Like, no offense. Like, go home to your wife and your kids. Like, come on, guys. Like, I'm not no judgment here. But when you're talking to these young girls, they're like, hey, sir. Like, that's, you're sir now. You're not that guy anymore. You know, we're older. You know, like you gotta make a change. I don't know where I was going with that, but like I just came to the top. The Phoenix Open is going on right now, man. It came to the top of mind. But my point was, if you're still out there boozing super hard on a Sunday, that's fine. You can still do that if every other meal was real food. Where most people struggle is they have this unrealistic idea of what they should be doing, and they'll make things so overly restrictive, or they'll look for an insanely quick fix plan that's so hard to maintain over time. And again, we say a lot on here, if it's not sustainable, the results are not attainable. So if you have to do something insanely extreme for 50 days to get the results, like those aren't going to be sustainable for the duration, and you're not going to have the look you attained for a long period of time. When you do stuff that's so, hey, again, if you want somebody who wants to give up booze, that's respect. That's awesome. I got a dude here. He's been sober just over a year. He eats exactly what we tell him. Literally, the dude looks like fucking Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV. Like, it's super impressive. So he made a major change. Now, for some people, that's way too unrealistic and it's way too restrictive for them. So if you want to have alcohol in your life, that's fine, as long as you can do it in moderation. If you want to still eat, McDonald's once a week because it's part of your life, that's fine. There's no judgment here. When you make it so extreme and you say, I'm never going to do anything, I'm going to eat perfect every day, for most people, those diets often lead to feelings of being deprived, like your life sucks, you can't have fun, you feel frustrated, and you give up because you're so extreme early on and your body isn't changing as quickly. And so you're putting in all this effort, but you're not seeing the fruits of the labor, so you tend to bail on it before anything happens. And obviously when quote unquote diets fail, whether it's intermittent fasting or keto or paleo or carb backloading or carnivore diet, or you're a vegetarian or whatever the fuck diet you want to do, and it doesn't matter, the best one's the one you're going to follow and the one you enjoy and the one that makes you healthy. When they don't work and when you don't see the results you want from this insane amount of effort, you revert back to your old self. You fall into the same unhealthy habits, and it leads to that same cycle of yo-yo dieting over and over and over again. That's why I always harp on people. The most simple tips: pick about how many meals you're going to eat a day. Is it 2 meals, 3 meals, or 4 meals? What is probably going to be in those meals? What protein, produce, and obviously drink water with it. And can you do that consistently? And can you bulk cook some of that stuff and have it with you? Or if there's healthy places, we literally just made a Scottsdale healthy eating guide. If any of you guys want it, reach out to me. Maybe I'll throw the link in the show notes. It's just our Scottsdale Healthy Eating Guide. It's pretty simple. It's my favorite healthy places here, and then if you ever come to visit here, it's also my favorite places, like my favorite pizza spot, my favorite like fancy restaurant, places that have live music. Just kind of like let me be your Rick Steves of Scottsdale, if you will, and be your foodie guide. But my favorite healthy places are on there. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to cook a bunch of food at home, or you feel like you don't have time, or you just don't enjoy it, there are so many places. Probably, again, unless you live in like rural Kentucky, it's a little bit tougher. But even in some of those like small town spots, I feel like they're having more options these days. You can always make a good choice. Is it harder to do in a smaller town or when you're on the road? 100%. But it doesn't mean it can't be done. It doesn't mean you guys shouldn't do it. So take that with you. There's always a spot where you can make a healthy choice, but you should know, hey, I got a work meeting on Wednesday. I can't get home at my normal time. I'm going to be gone. What should I do? Pack your snacks with you, obviously. Know where you're going to be eating lunch or be eating dinner, and have an idea of what's in the area. And if you don't have access to anything, that's great. Plan and prep and bring with you the stuff you need to. Even when I'm here and I'm hungry and I'm tired and I got a bunch of shit going on, I don't tend to keep a bunch of food here in house. But what I do always have here is koyas in the fridge, and I always have beef jerky around. So worst case scenario, I can eat a 30 pack of this. Do I have it? I think it's in the fridge. The 30 packs of the Built Long, which is about 32 grams of protein, and a koya is about 18 grams of protein. And I throw those bad boys together. It's 50 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. I think it's 7 grams of fat total, and maybe 15 carbohydrates. That'll get me through. That's kind of like my saver food that I have with me. And I would urge all of you to have it. So if you're going to work, in your backpack, in your purse, in your car, have the beef jerkies with you, or have the whatever your thing is. I just say beef jerky because it can go anywhere. It's always good, in my opinion, if you get the good shit. And it's easily taken with you. And you can have multiple things. You can put them in your office drawer. You can put them in your fridge. You can put them in your backpack. You can leave them in your car. Like, it all works and it's all good. The next reason we see people struggle here, just I don't want to say like a lack of knowledge, because at this point, the information is out there for most people to find, but maybe it's conflicting information, or it's just like you're not sure which path to take and what information to follow. I say that with an asterisk because I just had a conversation here the other day with a client she's very fit, in her 50s, very smart, has an amazing job. So she's in charge of a lot of people and in charge of a lot of money. And we're talking about poop, because that's what we do here. And we're just talking about her. Hey, this is how I'm feeling. What's going on? I'm like, well, how many times a day do you poop? My wife was here too. My wife knows her, so it's a fun conversation. So 3 grown adults talking about taking a shit. And we're chatting, and I'm like, so you poop every day? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I'm not going to say her name on here. I'm like, you don't poop every day. I go, so you're telling me you eat on a Monday, all that food's in there, and it just sits there till like Wednesday? That sounds like, I don't know anybody else's schedule, but that sounds rough, bro. Like, all that stuff is just like cooking in there. Like, you're just letting that stuff just marinate. That is not good for you. And the point of me driving it is not to talk about not being able to poop every day, which I think all of you, we've done a full podcast on this, by the way. You guys should be regular in taking a dump at least once a day. I think that seems like a good life goal. But we're talking to her about chia seeds. Now, she's been with a client of ours for 7 or 8 years. I've done a full podcast on chia seeds. I've done podcasts on fiber. We've done podcasts on poop. I've written how many emails about dietary fiber and chia seeds and the benefits, yet she really didn't have any idea about them. She's like, we have them at her house, but I never take them. She comes in 2 days later and she's like, oh my God. She's like, dude. I'm like, yeah, you probably clogged your toilet, dude. We probably just cleaned out about 10 pounds of shit in your body. Now you're feeling like $1 million. It's little things like that. What I'm driving at is not to talk about her bowel movements, but she didn't know. And I think as fitness pros in general here, this is from my fitness people out there, we assume the average person knows even 10% of what we know, and they don't. And we expect them to make a great informed decision about their health and their fitness based on the knowledge they have, but they don't have that. It's no different than us when we go when I go get my car done, right? When they do my, hey, can I change my own oil? I can do it. I don't, because it takes me way longer. At this point with the newer cars, I might fuck something up. And these guys are just better at it. But when I go there, I'm relying on them for information, and I only really know what they're going to tell me. And I might do a quick Google search of something, but I don't know even 1% of what my mechanic knows. There's no way I can. It's what they do every day. And we, as fitness and health professionals, I think sometimes assume too much of what the average person knows, and we don't share that stuff with them. And so busy adults, even ones who are very successful and intelligent, do struggle with the nutrition and supplement fields and just overall basic health practices because there is a lack of knowledge that they have. And then also there's the conflicting information where everybody shares like, you got to eat keto, or you got to eat paleo, or you can't eat meat, or all you have to do is eat meat, and you have to take this supplement, and you can only eat nightshade vegetables, or you have to do like the fuck, dude. Like it's just so much. It's a fire hydrant of information, and there's just way too much out there. And nutrition in itself for people can be confusing because there is no education on it in school. They gave you the food pyramid, by the way, which is like, I mean, those people should be in fucking prison. Like 6 to 11 servings of grains a day, like a day. That's the minimum. You should that the food pyramid was telling you to eat 11 servings of grains a day. Now I have nothing against like Ezekiel breads and pastas and stuff, but like 11 servings of grains a day. And like the dietary recommendation for a 2,000 calorie diet was like 250 or 300 grams of carbs a day. Like if I ate 300 grams of carbs every day, I'd be 300 fucking pounds. Like I can't even burn that off. Yet you're telling, Roger, who works at the insurance agency, that he needs to eat 300 grams of carbs a day. He ain't exercised in 10 years. That's wild information. So that's what I'm talking about, where it's like people don't know that, and that was what we grew up on, right? So the food stuff is confusing, especially with like all the conflicting dietary advice from every expert or person or your friend or your buddy did this. And obviously a lot of adults like might even not understand like what is healthy, right? And like what a balanced diet looks like. And you can be swayed by supplements and gimmicks and obviously the fad diets. There's just a lot of information out there. And that confusion can lead to a paralysis by analysis. And so you don't make any decision, or just like the poor food choices in general. And then following diets that aren't, I guess, nutritionally balanced, and ignoring essential food groups altogether, not focusing on micronutrients, have no understanding of macros, or because your friend Joey did it and he lost 80 pounds, you should do it. Or because it's the newest thing on insert whatever Instagram account you follow or whatever, TV show you're watching, this is what I should do. And that's not always the case. So it's tough. So if you're going to take anything away from today, what should you do? And you already know this. Get rid of all the other noise and bullshit, right? Like throw out all the other stuff. Real food. It runs, it swims, it flies, it grows from the earth. Protein, produce, and water. Pick how many times a day you're going to eat and just do that consistently, and you're going to be okay. But most people get lost in the details. The base has to be built solid. That's the big thing. And again, what I described, it's very simple. It's very bare bones. It's very basic. It's easy to do that in theory. It's much harder in application in real life. But if you can do that, you will be successful, and you will be ripped and shredded, and you will look amazing for the rest of your life. You don't got to worry about anything else other than maybe some chia seeds so you can take a poop every day. But honestly, if you're eating enough fruits and vegetables, you're probably going to be okay. I just know chia is a great supplement, and they're easy to do. Plus the omegas, all around healthy for you. Now, the other ones real quick here, the portion sizes and obviously overeating is huge. I've talked about this on here for years. When your parents used to go to McDonald's, for a treat, maybe like once a week or once a month even, it was like a burger and a small fry and like a soda or a milkshake. Small size food. Wasn't like this triple Big Mac super size me shit, with 200 grams of sugar in a drink. That wasn't what it was. That's what's changed drastically over the years. And the fast food culture, where we've made it a norm to do it consistently multiple times a week or do it every single week, where back in the day, you did it maybe once a month. And it just wasn't, and the food is different too. Like I remember watching a full breakdown of like Almond Joys, like in the 1980s had like 7 ingredients or something. And now an Almond Joy has like 27 ingredients, and that's completely unnecessary. So the same foods you used to eat are not the same foods obviously, as of today. But in the world we live in, portion sizes have increased dramatically, especially in restaurants and in packaged foods. And people just eat out way more often than they used to. And again, I'm a fan of the social stuff, which I'll talk about in a second, but we do eat out way more than our bodies need. And that leads to an excess of calorie consumption. And it puts you in this calorie surplus, hence why, damn near half the population is obese. I wonder what the overweight percentage is. So if I go overweight rate in America, overweight is 71%. So obese is at 42%, overweight is at 30%. So if you put those together, 42.4, 30.7. That means nearly 70%, that means nearly 74% of adults in the United States are overweight or obese. The higher rate among women, 75.3, and men, 70.8. So obviously it's pretty common. It's more common to be obviously overweight and obese than it is to not be. And obviously it's way more common to be overweight than it is to be ripped like Rambo. So obviously you guys who are listening and you're like fit and you're at these lower body rates and you can see muscle definition and you're anywhere close to having abs, you're essentially becoming a fucking unicorn, Or the other day, the guy was saying, like, we were reading the episodes here. I was trying to say centaur, but I was saying minotaur. Like if you guys watch the movie Role Models, the minotaur is in Role Models, but centaur is the other thing. Anyways, my point is, you're a minotaur if you got abs these days, and the overeating is it's become just a norm. And when you're out to eat, more often than not, you're probably not just eating, salmon and asparagus. It's not what we tend to do. It tends to be, unhealthier foods that contribute to weight gain and obviously other health problems. And even for somebody like me, when I go out to eat, it's a treat. It's for the social aspect of it. It's in a celebration. And again, that's one of the other big issues of why adults struggle with it, because it's become such a social and a cultural norm, and there's social and cultural influences that are around food. We do it for gatherings, we do it for parties, we do it for weddings, we do it for celebrations. We do it just to kind of break bread and have fun and communicate, and that's how we get together with people, which I do not have a problem with, and I think that's healthy, and I think you should do that. And I think if you never do, and you never go out to eat, and you never enjoy yourself, when you don't get any enjoyment from food, if you're happy in your life, I'm happy for you. But if you're not, I just think that's a rough way to live your life, and I don't think it's necessary by any means. And you should enjoy food, but we do it way too often. We do it way too frequently. And we celebrate way too many things with poor eating and drinking choices. You can still celebrate all the things in life is meant to be celebrated, and all these things are meant to be celebrated at, but it doesn't mean you got to pack your face with shit every single time and eat like a 7-year-old. You can still go there and eat some of the things you like in moderation, and then sometimes you can go, full out balls to the walls and, stuff yourself. But you can't do it every single time. You can't do it on every holiday. You can't do it on every social gathering. You can't do it during every single cultural tradition, because then all of a sudden you did it for 150 days of the year for 10 plus years, and then you realize like half your year was eating like a complete trash can. And that's why you don't feel good, and that's why you don't look the way you want to look. And I think of myself as somebody who doesn't eat out very often compared to the average person. Now, obviously, I live here in Scottsdale. It's become kind of a foodie hotspot. There's a ton of like famous chefs that are here now, very popular restaurants, all the local spots. We have every chain that's obviously ever existed. And there's no way I could even scratch the surface of all of them in a year, or probably, for me, even 5 years. Even if I went out once a week, there's no way, because there's always new places popping up, and we are creatures of habit, so we like to go to the same spots. But even for me, at the end of the year, when we kind of reconcile all of our receipts, because we just did our taxes, and I'm kind of breaking everything down, and I look at all of the dinners we took out, like of our staff members here, of clients that are here, of people that won transformations that we've done, when we're entertaining potential clients and we're doing partnership meetings, it's a lot. It's a lot more than I thought it would be, and I think I eat out way less than the average person. And if I feel that, I can't imagine what just a normal person is, or somebody who tends to be a foodie is. And it's tough when food and drink, because I feel like that's what we do is, hey, you want to get together for a dinner, you want to get together for drinks. I get invited to a lot of, hey, Jeremy, we want to take you out to lunch or meet you for lunch and pick your brain and talk about this project. Um, I don't do, I don't eat breakfast because I'm here. I'm not a breakfast guy anyway. I love breakfast food, but I don't eat it. And I don't do lunch either. So when people invite me out to lunch, I'm like, I can't do that, but I can meet you for a coffee. I'll swap that. It's just as arbitrary to me anyway, to make that choice. And then I stay on track with my programming, and I'm okay with being weird and turning down multiple lunch offers in lieu of coffee. I think it's just as, it's more, I think, beneficial. The meetings are much, they're better in terms of actually getting shit done. Now, if you're talking about creating a relationship, a lot of times at like these intimate dinners, I do think those can take place. So I do think there's important social things. There's certain friendship gatherings. There's business opportunities that happen at those things. But when everything revolves around happy hour and drinks and food, and that becomes the center of all your social gatherings and all your holidays and all the traditions, it's tough to stay fit. It's tough to stay strong, and there's a social pressure that can make it difficult to stick to the healthy habits that you want to have in place, especially when there is food around in abundance and it's food that you like. Like, I'm not going to go to a steakhouse and, order a piece of fish and just drink water. It's not what I do. If Dave Jack and BG and I are going to do our kind of quarterly dinners, which tend to be at steakhouses, I'm going to get the ribeye, dude, or I'm going to get the porterhouse. Then I'm going to get the sides. I'm going to have a couple beers. And I'm going to have a good time. But again, it's once a quarter. It's not once a week. And so I guess the frequency you have to ask yourself and kind of look at, that's why I say the planning and the prep. Am I going out to dinner this week? Do I have any work obligations? Do I got to go out to dinner for work? Or am I going to do it socially with my wife or my husband and my friends? What do I have coming up? So having an idea of what your week looks like, I think, is critical, because the social pressure, man, is a lot for people. That FOMO, the fear of missing out shit. And then the cultural factor of it too can lead to overeating and making unhealthy choices. And again, you get caught up in the moment anytime, and you can promise yourself, hey, I wasn't going to do it. And then you find yourself there and you're just, you're hungry, you're hangry. You've went a long time without eating, and you just kind of lose yourself in the moment. And if you continue to lose those battles over and over and over, all of a sudden over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, you find yourself looking and moving and feeling in a way that you don't like and you don't enjoy. And at some point, you have to start winning the battles, and you have to start winning the decisions. It's like when you walk by, the cupcakes at the grocery store, you walk by the chip aisle, and normally you'd say yes, and you put them in your cart. It's the day where you walk by and you say, fuck it, I don't need that today. I'm going to delay the gratification for another day. I'm going to suffer in silence today as I watch the Super Bowl and not eat 77 chips at one time, and feel like a complete bag of shit when it's over. Now, I'm not against you. Today is a Super Bowl, actually. And if you want to go to your Super Bowl parties and have your fun, that's fine. But keep in mind, how'd you eat Friday? How'd you eat Saturday? And what does the rest of your week look like? Do you have 2 work lunches this week? Or are you going to be on the road traveling? And just start to kind of forecast your week and put those pieces into play to stay on top of it. The last couple ones here, obviously, most adults I talk to, they lack motivation because they haven't wrapped their mind around, like, this is a long-term commitment of healthy habits. And, well, how long, Jeremy, do I have to eat like this? Well, until you're dead. Like, that's the game. Like, you have to eat this way until you drop dead. Not necessarily as you get older, you probably have to eat a little bit better because your margin for error gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You get away with eating way more shit at 22 than you do at 42. Trust me. I've lived it. Like, that's the reality. So you have to commit yourself to what this looks like. And that means finding foods you actually like and enjoy and preparing them and prepping them or seasoning them in a way where it's palatable to you, where you look forward to eating them. Now, full disclaimer, I've been on this kick of eating elk meat and cauliflower rice every day during the week for probably the last 3 months. And I look forward to it. And that's what I'm going to eat today. And I like it, and it works for me. And there might come a day where I get sick of it and then change that to, doing ground turkey and probably cauliflower rice or broccoli rice and seasoning it with something different. And I'll eat that for an extended period of time. That works for me. But I'm committed to doing that, for one, because I do like how it tastes. But 2, I like how it makes me feel. I like how I don't wake up feeling hungover and I'm not lethargic and I'm not bloated and I have energy and I like the way it makes me look and I like the way I perform. And that's what healthy eating takes. It requires a long-term commitment. That's why I harp on if it's not sustainable, it's not attainable for you guys to have. And it can be challenging for people to make that shift, especially when the short-term results are not immediately visible. Everybody wants that microwave bullshit. They want that quick, immediate feedback. I understand it, dude. It sucks working for a long time, not seeing the payout or not seeing the promise. And that makes the motivation fluctuate, where you're motivated on Monday and you've done it for 5 days in a row, but you don't look any different. And then on Friday comes and you want to go out and do your normal bullshit with your friends and eat and drink shit and fall back into your old habits. That's where you have to win. That's the battles I'm saying you have to win. And you have to stop thinking of it as I need immediate gratification. Nothing in your life, my friends, has come from you getting it quickly. And even if it did come quickly, you don't appreciate it nearly as much as the thing you had to work your fucking ass off for. It's just the truth. A lot of things in my life haven't come easy. Some things have. 99% of it, the stuff that I have that's worthwhile, it was hard for me to get. And it's hard for me to keep. And I really appreciate it. I have so much perspective and gratitude because of that. That's what this is. That's why so few people do it. And instead of thinking of it as a microwave, it's a crock pot. You just got to put it in there, let it slow cook, and it's so much better. And it's just like the food you get from the microwave. Yeah, it's fine when you heat it up and it tastes okay. But when you really cook something in a crock pot for a long period of time, it's legit. Or my people here, shout out to my dude Jeremy Williams. He's talking about slow cooking yesterday. He's like, I don't know if he's doing ribs or something, for like 12 hours. 12 hours? Do you know how much better his meat that he's smoking for 12 hours tastes than my ground elk that I heated up in 5 minutes? Like his shit, it's not even close. That's what this is. It's the understanding it takes long-term commitment from you guys, and you have to do it basically until you're dead. And there's ebbs and flows, and there's different seasons that you're more motivated and less motivated. But if you just make it a non-negotiable, you just make it you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm just going to feed my body real food that makes me feel good, and I'm just going to do that consistently for the next, give it 3 months. You guys will crush. And we do this in fitness. I say this a lot. We overestimate, what we can do in 30 days, and we underestimate what we can do in 3 months. And the same, if you want to go long term, we underestimate, I guess I'll put it this way. We overestimate, hey, what we can do in just 90 days, and we underestimate what we can get done in a year. You can do it with any time frame, but just give this time. And if you can do that, you guys will be successful. So when you get done with this podcast, if you're like, yeah, Jeremy, the healthy eating thing really is fucking me up. Can you, for the rest of February, if you listen to this on the 9th, you got, I can't do math worth of shit. 20, 28, 28th, what was that? 17, 19, 19, 19. Yeah, 20 days. Yeah, 18, 19 days, whatever. 18 or 19 days. Obviously, you can tell why I do fitness for a living. For the next 18 or 19 days, just say, hey, can I eat real food? In every meal for the next 19 days. That's it. Can I limit my alcohol and drug consumption, or maybe completely get rid of drugs and alcohol if that's your thing, and you get rid of both and just eat real food for the next 19 days? I promise you will look substantially different. You will feel substantially different, and you will move completely different than you do now. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up better. Everything in your life will improve dramatically if you can do that. That's a short-term commitment. And then if you can get to the 19 days, 20 days, be like, you know what? I can keep this rolling for the most part. That, my friends, is where the rituals and routines then become this ingrained habit. What you don't want is the unhealthy habits. You don't want the unhealthy routines, is what's pretty much got you into the seat that you're sitting in today. Where you develop these unhealthy eating patterns over years and years and years. And breaking those habits can be tough. I grew up the same way you did. Obviously, I'm a 80s, 90s kid. My parents weren't home, when I got up for school. So I had to get my ass up, walk my ass out to the bus stop, freezing my fucking dick off, staring at my feet, or throwing rocks at a stop sign because there's no iPhones or nothing, and no one's going to talk to you because it's 4 fucking degrees out. And I probably grabbed some Pop-Tarts and a Pepsi, and that was my breakfast. And that's dog shit. My parents were home, like, oh, Jeremy, we made you breakfast today. Here's some Lucky Charms. Mom and Dad, what are you doing? Here's some Lucky Charms and some Sunny D. That's what here's a toasted strudel and some Capri Suns. I just named you 10 food items for breakfast. Not one fucking piece of real food. Just complete garbage. It's the miracle that I'm even alive right now. It's basically child abuse, what I went through. All of you guys from my age, same type of thing. My point of sharing my childhood trauma of eating is that that's unhealthy habits. And not that I still like those foods or want those foods, but somewhere inside of me, I romanticize them of what I think they taste like and what they tasted like. And that routine of eating junk food consistently, it puts you on a path that you have to fight basically for the rest of your life. And I believe that. The same thing if you get into the habit of late night snacking or always relying on, gas station food or highly processed food, or getting into the habit of going through the drive-through multiple times a week when you're busy at work because you didn't plan or prep anything and you just made it okay. And I understand how easy that is because in the moment, it's very easy to sell yourself on why you should do something. That's easier. You can justify in the moment almost all the time. You're driving by, oh, there's In-N-Out Burger, or there's Chick-fil-A, or there's the donut place. I deserve it. I had a rough day. Or, oh, I've been eating pretty good. I should treat myself. Or whatever fucking story you tell yourself. And sometimes it's probably needed and sometimes it's probably justified, and that's fine. But it doesn't matter what you do just some of the time. It's what you do most of the time that matters most. And changing those ingrained habits requires a ton of fucking effort. I know it does. I've done it myself. You guys, it's not easy to do. That's why I harp on the planning so often and the discipline of it, which I know can feel overwhelming at first to make that kind of healthy eating shift. That's why I always talk about having a coach and accountability and a goal. Because there's no adult that I know that has lack of support in the gym, lack of support at home, lack of support at work, and no fucking accountability who does really well. And I know people think it sounds rigid how I live my life. Actually, it's the most flexibility I have. Obviously, I eat typically maybe once a day, sometimes twice a day, but I can eat 10 times a day if I want to. I'm a grown-ass adult. I'm a grown man. I can do what I want, I don't have to not eat or eat something. I can do anything. And you can tell yourself that because it's the truth. You can eat, you can not eat. You can skip a meal, you can plan the meals. You can eat 10 meals, you can eat 2 meals. It's up to you. And you can eat the food, you can eat real food, or you can eat shit food. But knowing that, there is freedom in that. And yes, I don't eat shit and I don't just, drink beers randomly during the week and abuse myself. I go, but I'm choosing that. I'm choosing to put myself in this position. I'm choosing to eat real food. I'm choosing not to drink alcohol. I'm choosing to delay gratification if I want to eat French fries or do something. I'm choosing to wait till the weekend and not doing it on a Tuesday because it would have been the easy choice. And if you can do that consistently, it builds in this resiliency and this self-discipline. It's like doing split squats. It's like doing push-ups or pull-ups. You're building up that muscle. Essentially, it's that mental muscle. And you're no longer making it okay to make these shitty fucking decisions during the week. You're telling yourself yeah, that's what I used to do. I don't do that anymore. I know it's tough for people to say that because it's well, yeah, I used to eat fucking Dunkaroos too and ride a school bus, but I don't do that anymore either. You got to just make a choice at some point where it's we're not going to do 12-year-old shit because the stuff we did at 12 didn't serve us. You know what I'm saying? You also used to pee your pants. You don't do that anymore either, right? You figured it out. At one point you couldn't drive a car. Now you can drive a car. This just becomes that version for you. And I think you need a coach, and I think you need accountability, and I think you need a goal because it can be challenging when you do not have support of friends and family and colleagues, and you surround yourself with a bunch of fucking dummies who don't support you. And without that system, it's easy to give up. It's easy to fall back into unhealthy habits and routines, and that lack of accountability and guidance makes it so hard for people to do it consistently over time. That's why I say if you can get in a spot where you have good friends, you have a good husband or a good wife and a good gym community, and if you have a personal trainer and you have a coach, you're going to do much better. Because iron sharpens iron. I have a lot of really fit friends, and it makes it easy for me. If I showed up one day and all my habits were different, they would call me on my shit. And not because of I look different, because I wouldn't be carrying myself the same way. I wouldn't have the same habits. I wouldn't feel the same. I wouldn't move the same. And obviously I wouldn't look the same over time. And it's just helpful. It's motivating to be around other people who are making good decisions. It's no different than money. People who have, net worths of, $100 million or more probably don't hang out with a bunch of people, who work part-time at Home Depot and smoke weed all day and play fucking video games. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, it's fine if that's what makes you happy. I go, but those same people don't hang around each other. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get a bunch of super fit, healthy people hanging around a dude who's 400 pounds who just eats Doritos all fucking day. Like, you're going to attract the people in your circle. And it's very hard when you guys want to make that shift, especially up front, because you're going to move different and you're going to say things different. You're going to make different choices and you're not going to be as social, or you're going to do things socially a little bit different. And that's totally okay. And I'll leave you with this here before we go. We've made it so normal now to just kind of be in a shitty habit or style of eating and living, where we've accepted it as normal. If we know obviously 70% of people, 70%, so 7 out of 10 people, are not at a healthy weight. We've accepted that as normal. I think it's the same a percentage of people are living kind of check to check. So about 70 to 74% of people live kind of paycheck to paycheck. We've accepted that as normal. I don't think neither of those are healthy things, and I don't think either of those are normal things. And if you look at, like, again, I'll use myself as an example because it's my podcast and I'm here talking to obviously nobody. If you take my day, oh, Jeremy, it's so extreme what you do. Really? I wake up early. I work hard at my job. I plan what I'm going to eat. I eat real food. That's protein, produce, and water most days. I don't overeat. I don't abuse drugs and alcohol. I exercise every day. I make walking and rucking a part of my daily routine. I always have to get outside and move my body around, do some mobility, get sunshine. I go to bed at a decent time. And that's what I do. And I do that every day. Does that sound extreme to you versus let me wake up, not move at all, go through the Starbucks drive-through and grab 150 grams of sugar and some bullshit, sit at a desk all day, typing on some computer, stressing out about some fucking job that's not going to give a shit about you in probably even next year, let alone 10 years from now or 100 years from now. No one will have cared about this important work you were doing. And yet you were so stressed. You made terrible food choices. You coped with drinking at home, and then you were too tired and too lethargic to go exercise and move around. And then you stayed up late doing whatever the fuck. Like that's not extreme to you? And I know that seems like I'm painting a picture that's not real, but for a lot of people, that second picture is real. Their lifestyle is much closer to that picture than one of my life. And obviously I have my own, privileges and things for me, like genetically, I have the gifts that I have. I get to work in a gym. I understand that. But you don't have to be as extreme as me with the intensity and the results I'm getting. But for you to get up every day and not abuse your body and fill it with good stuff and just walk around every day and exercise 2 or 3 times a week, that can be done. That's how you can overcome the struggles. And so the quick takeaways. One, again, recap of what I'm saying here today. Plan ahead, you guys. Meal prepping and planning can help save you time and ensure you have meals with you on the go. Packing little snacks with you and having them around is ideal. Researching the closest grocery stores and the restaurants you're going to go to if you have to eat out and it's not for indulgence. And now, don't get me wrong. If you're going to a pizza place, don't be a fucking weirdo and order a salad. Eat a pizza. That's fine. I don't care. But understand what the rest of your week and month looks like. And obviously start small for some of you guys. If you want to go cold turkey, much respect. There's people here. I got people here that quit drinking one day, never did it again. It's amazing. My old man smoked menthols, cool cigarettes. So disgusting. 33 fucking years. Just ripping fucking heaters like it was his job. One day, quit cold turkey. Super amazing. If that's who you are, respect. I like the all or nothing mentality. For many of you, it's probably culture shock. It's way too much to do. Gradual changes over time rather than overhauling every single thing at once. Focus on adding a healthy food a week and adding a healthy routine a week, and then eliminate the unhealthy ones as you go. Swap one good food, take out one bad food. Get rid of one shitty habit for a new one. You always sit at your desk. You never get up. Why don't you get up 1 minute every hour on the hour, for the next 8 hours? Yeah, it's 8 little minutes. Doesn't add up to be much. But you got up, you touched your toes, you walked around. Those are huge changes over time. The next thing, like I touched on quickly, finding support, a goal, accountability, and a coach. You surround yourself with like-minded people who hold you accountable, who call you on your bullshit, and they share healthy eating tips and recipes and motivation, and you're doing things that are active and don't always revolve around just poor eating and drinking choices, you're going to be successful. then obviously if you educate yourself, if you're listening to this, obviously you guys have chosen to listen to me, which there's obviously better people out there. But hey, if you like what I'm saying, I appreciate the support. But just understanding that there is a ton of basic info out there on proper nutrition and just making better food choices. And the knowledge is cutting through the confusion and not listening to 19 different sources. Just pick one or two kind of outlets to listen to, things that resonate with you. And if it doesn't, skip forward and go on to the next. And then again, Jeremy, you said this 10 times on here already. I'll say it 10,000 fucking times over the next however many years I do this podcast. Focus on real, whole, nutrient-dense foods, you guys. Fill your plates with proteins and fruits and veggies and reduce the bullshit, and it will help you cut down on cravings. And then obviously allow for flexibility. You pick the percentages. Be kind to yourself. Allow for the social gatherings and the indulgences. The consistency is the key of doing the right things, not the perfection of it. The consistency trumps perfection any day of the week. So whether you want to do 90% of the time you eat great, 10% of the time it's you can fuck around, or it's 80-20, you pick. That's not for me to judge. If you want to get real nuance on it, obviously we can hop on a call. We walk you guys through all that stuff. But for the most part, just eat real food. And I understand you guys. I empathize with you 100%. I know the struggle of eating healthy due to a busy life and running a business, and the emotional triggers and the unhealthy habits and the social pressures. I get all the shit. But when you recognize the challenges and you start to really do it for yourself because you give a shit about how healthy you are, you make small, sustainable choices, and you make these little changes over time that help you shift towards being a healthier person. You have a more balanced diet. You have an overall better routine. You're going to be all right. That's it. That's my rant for the day for the most part. I do got one little piece here to share on my phone that I found here. This is from Dr. Ryan P. Lowry. Just a nice little takeaway for the day. And we're just talking about longevity here. Obviously, we're doing an old man strength program. This is something that I couldn't put out when I was 26, but now I'm in my 40s. And so, boom, prime time, bro. We're all going to be, hopefully, Arnold from Predator, or, Stallone from Rocky IV. That's the goal, old man strength here. But the ultimate goal, above all else, obviously it's important to like how you look and like how you feel, but big picture stuff. Ryan P. Lowry put this out on your future self at 80 years old. If you could picture your life being 80. Now, I got a neighbor. He's 2 doors down. He's turning 100 years old. I want to say it's this Wednesday or next Wednesday. Heather and I got invited to his birthday party. He's doing it, I think it's at the Elks Lodge, which I have not been to here in Scottsdale. I don't know how fucking wild a 100-year-old birthday party is, but I wanted to say it was like, my other neighbor told me, my other neighbor's like in his 60s. I want to say his birthday party starts at like 7:30, and I was like, damn, dude. I'm like, that seems awfully late for being 100 at 7:30 at night, but I guess he hasn't worked in like 1,000 years, so this is probably like his one big thing. Dude still drives his car. We talked about it. His name's Russ. Still drives his own car. I don't live in Mayberry. I live in fucking Old Town Scottsdale. This guy's driving around with golf carts and bachelorette parties in his car. What if dude's a wild man? Anyways, he's turning 100, which I think is the goal for all of us. Still lives on his own. Super impressive. But the Ryan P. Lowry quote was picture this. Your future self at 80 years old. You don't take a single medication. You can lift your grandkids with ease. You can walk independently, and you can bask in the sunshine. This isn't luck. It's the result of healthy habits you chose to start decades ago. Every choice you make today, what you eat, how you move, and how you care for your body builds the foundation for your future self. Now, I think that's something that we should all strive for, and that's the game. It's not just you today, doing it for the vanity piece of it, which I understand. Your body is your business card, and everybody wants to look, great, but doing it for your future self. So you're not going to have joint pain, so you can keep your bone density, so you can keep your muscle, so you can be here longer. And even if this didn't extend your life even a day, it's the quality of the days you were here. So if you told me, Jeremy, you were always going to die at 78 years old, and that's just how it was going to be, then that's fine. And all this shit you did, it didn't extend your life one day. That's okay, but I got to do it in this body, I got to do it, being a fucking unit. Like I'd rather do it, being a gorilla than being just like, 600 pounds or just being, $130, where my wife could beat the shit out of me. Like I like to be, a dude like this. Like this was worth it for me. And the juice was worth the squeeze. And I think if you guys really put the effort into this, you'll say it today, but more importantly, you'll say it 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And the reality is like, what are you waiting for, right? Like, you're never going to have more time in your life than you do right now. And I've never met anybody who's like, you know what? I wish I wasn't as strong. I wish I wasn't as shredded. I wish I wasn't as athletic. It's just not a thing. Strength is never a weakness, and you guys know that. And this is a huge part of that comes down to how you eat and what you put in your body. And if you can master this, if you can master the flesh, if you can master what you put into your body, everything else becomes easier. Every fucking thing else is easy. Like, fitness becomes a secondary joke. Now, doing split squats still sucks balls, but it's so much. I would rather do split squats all day than have to, like, if you told me like I could just eat pizza and be shredded and healthy, do you know how much easier this life would be? This life is so much easier if I could just do that, but it's not. And that's the harder part. So when you can master the food stuff, because that's the other 23 hours a day you're not training. To master the one day of training and consistently be motivated is tough, but really owning the other 23 days and what you do in private, you get praised for in public. I say that a lot on here. What you do in private, you're getting praised for in public. So when you see somebody who is fit, they're running, they're moving, like, there's so many things they're doing behind the scenes that you don't see that are really paying off. And that's what the game is just, keep chopping wood and carrying water, you guys at home behind the scenes. And then when you show up, it's worth the payoff. I promise you that. So take that with you today, you guys. Hopefully you got something from that. If you have questions on this, hit me up. If you want our free Scottsdale healthy eating guide, that is on the website. Also, the main opt-in on my website is a fat loss blueprint, which we haven't really promoted. We just redid the website completely, and there's a free fat loss blueprint is on the bottom of the homepage. It's our main kind of lead generator opt-in for that. But the Scottsdale one is for Scottsdale people. It's more food-based. It's fun. Both have to do with food and walk you through kind of the basics. Maybe I'll do a podcast on the blueprint too here. But next week, we're going to do a podcast on old man strength. Basically talking about just being an old man or woman, older, and being strong, and all the things that come with that, kind of breaking into the program, what we got coming up on that. Dr. Geyer will come back on here once he gets rid of some of his kids' sickness here. One of his 10 kids. I think he has 10 kids, literally. Whatever he's in, hey, respect, dude. He's obviously pumping bullets. It's great. He's coming on here again. Heather's coming back on. But my next one, I want to do old man strength. I want to get Dr. Geyer back on, and then Heather will come back on. I'll figure the rest of this out. If you guys want a free sample of AG1, obviously hit me up. I'll send the samples right to your front door. Any other discount codes from JLab or Substance Nutrition, I'll get those to you guys as well. And then be on the lookout for the Old Man Strength program. I'm going to drop it in the app community notes section this week to register. First 41 people get $41 off the program. And then I'll put that deal out to the app newsletter list, and then I'll put it to the general public. I'm imagining that's going to sell out in a day. So if you guys see it, pick it up. It's the cheapest it will ever be in the history of time. So get it now. If you ever plan on doing it, and if you ever plan on being old and strong, take the $41 off. My gift to you guys. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Share with a friend or family member who struggles with eating, and some of these tips could help, or if nothing else, they get a laugh at my fucking nonsense that I talk here. If you're on Spotify, leave it a 5-star as well. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you guys as always. And until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people. And please, you guys, keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy, because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.